Welcome. Transforming a Suburban Property is a program that is part of a series describing the actions and adventures of modern-day pioneers. They are creating green and resilient homes, neighborhoods, economy, and culture on the suburban frontier. The pioneers featured in this series and the projects they're working on are real-life responses to deepening social, environmental, and economic conditions that are clearly saying humans are strongly advised to shift their lifestyles towards living far more within their environmental and economic means. Key words and concepts important to this series of programs include permaculture, allies and assets, social activation, positive human potential, civic culture, and multiple benefits. The actions and initiatives described in this series have the potential to bring politically and socially diverse people and perspectives together in common cause simply because everyone benefits from green and resilient homes, neighborhoods, economy, and culture. This is Jan Spencer, narrator and person responsible for this series. My interests are a convergence of urban land use, care for the natural world, economics, permaculture, and human potential. Above all, the goal of this series is to provide positive and practical information for use in real life for greening home, neighborhoods, economy, and culture. Modern suburbia can claim ancestors throughout history. The elite of ancient Egypt and Babylon could afford to live away from the noise, dust, and crowding of the city. 4,000 years later, London's upper classes might relocate some distance from the squalid center of town to more genteel locations, such as Bloomsbury, St. James, Soho, and Mayfair. By 1810, farms and open spaces in Brooklyn were turning into home sites for the well-off, thankful to leave the grime and commotion of Manhattan. Dependably crossing the East River, the steam ferry made possible the world's first modern commuting suburb, predating the automobile by almost 100 years. All through history, developments in transportation have deeply affected urban land use. During the 19th century, the omnibus, horse trolley, cable car, and the electric trolley all contributed to making greater distance between where people lived, worked, and took care of their needs. The automobile has done more to isolate home from work and play than any other form of transportation, a perfect fit for suburbia. Mass production, reduced cost, and a growing middle class made the car affordable to millions as early as the 1920s. By the year 2017, half of all Americans lived in suburbia, while 250 million cars and trucks populate the nation's streets and highways. But suburbia and all those cars and trucks did not happen by themselves. To make best sense of suburbia, it's important to understand the term economic value, the principle that first and foremost defines our economic system. Economic value, as used here, refers to the motive force that drives businesses to create products and services that generate as much economic activity as possible, useful or not, while minimizing their costs. Externalizing the cost is a ubiquitous practice to minimize the cost of business. Externalizing the cost means the price we typically pay for products and services does not account for the damage caused in the product's manufacture, use, or disposal. The environment and public health suffer hundreds of billions of dollars in damage every year. In effect, an enormous and involuntary subsidy to business. Externalizing the cost means the market, as we know it, is fundamentally dishonest. Cars and suburbia are excellent examples of economic value. They create an enormous amount of economic activity, and they externalize an enormous amount of damage to people and planet. Understanding how this economic system values economic activity over the well-being of the environment and public health is vital to understanding the importance of creating green and resilient homes, economy, and culture. Suburbia has benefited greatly by history, government policy, special interests, and the automobile. With high unemployment during the Great Depression, the federal government crafted housing policies to create jobs in the construction industry that favored suburbia at the expense of more dense urban development. A decade later, a post-war housing shortage again benefited suburbia. Government policy, strongly supported by the construction industry, favored new suburban development, again at the expense of more dense urban housing. Levittown, on Long Island and dating from the mid-50s, counting over 17,000 homes and 82,000 residents, has become the poster child of post-World War II baby boom era industrial-scale suburban development. Innovations in mortgage financing, new construction materials, power tools, worker specialization, vertical business integration, and government-backed mortgage insurance has facilitated an unprecedented level of suburban development from post-war to the present. Suburbia benefited greatly by yet another government scheme. In 1955, a blue ribbon panel appointed by President Dwight Eisenhower and chaired by a board member of General Motors recommended building a nationwide network of superhighways. The 47,000-mile Interstate Highway system has supercharged the automobile, oil, highway, and related industries while opening up vast areas of open space on the fringes of countless cities to automobile-dependent suburban development. Suburbia is a cornerstone of the nation's economy. It can also claim significant responsibility for our greatest ecological, social, economic, and even foreign policy misadventures. But suburbia is simply too vast to abandon. Millions of suburban homes and their surroundings have great potential.